Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we take a look at headlines from our city, state, and country. We take a look at your comments, ideas, and suggestions. We wrap ourselves in a warm blanket, and I'll explain this in a second, and we just combine all this information and put it to good use as a community of English-speaking locals. It is a pleasure to see you today. It's Saturday, December 2nd, and if you're wondering why I'm wrapped up in a blankie, it's because I announced that I finished my latest blankie a few days ago, and I swear for the last 3 days, I've been putting it next to me so that I can talk about it because some people wanted to see it, and I keep forgetting to do it. So this is, oh my God. Oy. This is my latest blankie. Yay. And I call it my piggy bank. Well, hold on, because it's really warm. Let me get rid of this. There you go. We call it the piggy bank blankie, and there's a reason behind that. I usually don't like to work with acrylics because acrylics are very warm. But so I work with cotton more often than not. But every time I go to Soriana, in the hotel zone, well, Soriana is one of the few supermarkets in town that actually carries yarn. And they had this variegated yarn that I really liked. And I saw that it was acrylic. And I said to myself, well, I like the colors, but I don't know what am I going to do with this. And it was inexpensive, the yarn. So I figured every time I go shopping at Soriana, I'll buy a skein. I'll buy a ball of yarn. And I kept buying balls of yarn. And I kept being surprised because sometimes supermarkets stop carrying the same products. So anyhow, I bought enough of the yarn that I figured, okay, I could make an entire blanket now. And I did, and it is finished. And it took me about a year, working on it off and on. But that's enough about me. Some people wanted to see it. It is done. I hope someday it gets warm enough here in town so that I can actually use it. Or maybe I'll go to San Sebastián del Oeste for a weekend. Enough about me. If you're watching live for the first time, please let us know by writing the word new in your comment. That way we'll give you a nice little welcome. And of course, if there's something really important that you wish to share with everyone, that you wish to have acknowledged later on in the broadcast, it helps a great deal if you add a capital letter Q to your comment. Like Albert has said, nice blankie, Paco, lots of work. Well, yes, but, it's meditation for me, really, especially this kind of blanket, because this kind of blanket is repetitive stitching. It's a perfect blanket for Netflix because you don't really have to pay much attention to what's happening with your hands, and you can focus your attention on the TV screen. Anyhow, there's another cue as long as we're here. Anybody know what was going on at the La Isla Mall last night? Large police presence there. I actually don't know. And I didn't see any news about some violent or unusual activity at La Isla. I do have some reports on an illegal gas station, and we might as well get started with that as long as we're talking about it. Um, when is a liter of gasoline not a liter of gasoline? Well, when you load your tank at this gas station near the bus terminal, apparently. And I say near the bus terminal because I think from the vegetation, we're looking at the main entrance to Puerto Vallarta. Anyhow, the station has been shut down by the federal police for tampering with their gas pumps and scamming drivers by selling less gas than indicated in the dials and storing the remainder in some illegal tanks that they had operating. So, even if you tried to get some gas at this location, I don't think you even can do that because they have been busted. Tómala. And Tribuna de la Bahía reports that President López Obrador is scheduled to be in Bahía de Banderas this weekend to supervise progress along the two missing stretches of the no longer new highway from Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta. And I say no longer because they've been building the darn thing for over a decade now. The two remaining stretches, of course, are the one from La Cruz de Guanacaxtle to the Puerto Vallarta airport, and the one from Las Varas to Compostela, or the curves stretch. We call it Las Curvas because it's very slow, only 2 lanes, and it's just curves and more curves and more curves. So even if you wanted to pass the car ahead of you, it's very difficult to do that. When will the highway be ready? Well, as I recall, the latest estimation of completion was for sometime in March of this coming year, but we'll have to wait until it actually happens to say that the highway is finished. And while we're at it, President López Obrador began his final year as president of Mexico yesterday by inaugurating the new Tulum International Airport in the Yucatan Peninsula. This is an important project that is linked with the new Maya train. And speaking of the Maya train, if you were hoping to buy tickets for the first train ride, which will take place on December 16 from Campeche to Cancun and back, you are out of luck as the tickets sold out in a matter of minutes. As a reminder, this is just the first stretch of several stretches that comprise the entire route that is being inaugurated this month. The entire route will be ready for completion sometime during the spring of this coming year. And this is sad news. Just a few days ago, we reported that the Marietas Islands had recovered after tours to the so-called Love Beach were limited some years ago. But now we learned that apparently 90% of the coral reefs surrounding the islands is dead due to global warming. This is truly sad news. And I just thought you would want to know. Let us take a look at the weather forecast just to see what is going on out there. Let's see. That cloud looks like Cookie Monster gagging on a fig Newton. Okay. It's oh my goodness, it's 24 degrees right now. That's the temperature that I like to set my the air conditioner in my hotel room whenever I travel. So it's cold. Humidity is at 62%. Our weather forecast says it's humid today with overcast skies plus some patches of sun shining through, a high of 27 and a low of 20. And then tomorrow, Sunday, mostly cloudy skies in the morning with rain in the afternoon, a high of 28 and a low of 21. And on Monday, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a high of 28 and a low of 20. Moving right along in some of the headlines that I've collected for you today. If you want to find out the latest news from the PuRR Project, a local nonprofit that advocates for cat well-being and has a beautiful sanctuary, you can find these news at Banderas News, which is a great way to communicate. I really hope that some nonprofits out there will appreciate the advantage of putting together a newsletter and sending it out to their membership or to the members of the press, because that is a very efficient way in which we can find out exactly what is going on with any given nonprofit. And of course, today we have the monthly list of great classical albums, which you can enjoy from the New York Times. There's a couple of really fascinating things on this list. So if classical music is your thing, you may want to read this article. And I have more sad news or food for thought news. I've come to understand why it is that that Cinemex was going to or is going to schedule and screen the Maria Callas legendary concert from the 1960s today. Today, the great opera diva would have turned 100 years of age. So Cinemex, as a matter of acknowledgement, decided to screen her legendary concert on Cinemex screens. This is a remastered version. It is in color, whereas the original concert was filmed in black and white, and it has great sound and so forth and so on. But of course, not in Puerto Vallarta. Not in Puerto Vallarta. Why? Because somehow the programmers, the people that are in charge of determining what movies actually come to our city, both for Cinemex and for Cinépolis, seem to think that we're a bunch of hicks. So because a performance such as Maria Callas's legendary concert is probably not commercially viable for the theaters, you cannot watch the Callas concert in Puerto Vallarta at any of their 4 cinema multiplexes. And you know, this is really sad because both Cinemex and Cinépolis do schedule some interesting cultural things. There are some cities in Mexico that do the Met Opera broadcasts at Cinépolis theaters. And yes, we know that the Cinépolis in La Isla would be a perfect venue for cultural programming, but somehow the movie theaters have not gotten around the fact that you know, some people would be interested in this programming, and I actually don't know what to do about it. So where do we go looking for culture? We go looking for culture elsewhere, and this weekend I will be busy putting together my latest music appreciation presentation, which will be this coming Thursday, How to Listen to Jazz. This will be very interesting and fun for people that like jazz, but also for people that think they don't like jazz. I've heard comments, in fact, in the recent presentation of Day of the Dead, somebody was saying, well, I don't like jazz. And I said to this person, well, then this is perfect for you. And the person kept saying, no, but, you know, I don't understand it. Well, I mean, this is why we are doing this presentation, so that we can not only appreciate the different types of jazz that have emerged since its inception, but also to understand and identify some common threads, regardless of the type of jazz that you're listening to, that will help you better navigate the music. And after that, let us navigate through your comments and see what you are all thinking of doing this weekend. I am going to be spending a lot of social time this weekend with friends, and I'm very much looking forward to that, starting this afternoon and then tomorrow. How fun. And you are saying good morning, and I appreciate that very, very much. And I see people counting. Renee says 36 days until I arrive in PV. Awesome. Let's see what else we have. We answered that one. And there's another cue. Beautiful blanket looks like an explosion of Fruit Loops. This Fruit Loop, as in me, arrives in Puerto Vallarta in less than 3 weeks. So excited to see you all. This is Jess, Kathy and Den's daughter. I look forward to seeing you, friend. And then Logan says, I was there last night leaving the Beyonce Renaissance concert movie. See, that they do program. No Maria Callas, but the theaters do program pop stuff, whatever. Anyhow, Logan was leaving the movie, and from what Logan understands, it was a false alarm with the emergency evacuation alert. Definitely a bit jarring initially, as we thought we were going to have to make a run for it. There's for a moment. Yeah? Well, I'm glad it was nothing serious. This doesn't have a cue, but I like it. Tulum Airport now open. Yay. And I say yay because imagine, I think there was an airline, I forget which one, that announced direct flights from Puerto Vallarta to that new airport. And if that happens, it'll be so easy. So easy to get from here to there. Would it be okay to private message to you? Well, you've done that before, Sherry, so I assume that is not for me. Hey, Paco, you're not going to run out of ideas for future presentations, are you? Actually, I hope not. Right now, I'm working. Well, I already know what I want to do in January. I still don't know what I want to do in February. For January, we had talked recently about singling out 5 of Mexico's finest songwriters and talking about their music. That's going to be one of the 2 in January. And the second one in January is going to be this thing that has been floating around my head and is now connected, which has to do with interpretation. How do classical musicians or conductors, orchestra conductors, determine how fast, how loud, and how steady the tempo and the feel of the music should be just by looking at the score? And we will compare different versions of popular classical works. We'll talk a little bit about how of the job of the composer to determine in the score, in the manuscript, how fast they want their, or how they want their music to be played. But then here come the music editors. You know, whenever a publisher decides to publish music editors may introduce their helpful ideas, but do those helpful ideas give follow the wishes of the original composer or not? I think it's a fascinating topic. I hope you will too. I know I'm not explaining it well because I haven't rehearsed it, but it's going to be very exciting. I know that. Yay. And let's see. This one doesn't have a cue, but this is important information. I believe Aerobus, Viva Aerobus, may start direct flights from PV to Tulum. I hope that is the case, John, because right now, most of the domestic flights that one wants to take in Mexico, if the city is not Guadalajara or Toluca or Mexico City, you have to fly through any one of those 3 cities to get elsewhere, which makes it very, very expensive. And that is unfortunate. And this, my friends, this is what we have scheduled for today. I sure hope that you have amazing plans for this weekend, whether it is to stay home and chill or go out and enjoy the processions or connect with your friends or whatever. I do hope that you will have a wonderful weekend. I hope you will stay happy, stay warm, stay in touch, and connect with those people that you love. I will be back here on Monday with more coffee and headlines for you. So have a good one, and I'll see you soon.